Thank you very much, Katie. I would like to thank Lydia for her answer to the last question, because it is actually an introduction to my presentation. I would like to thank Sue for inviting me to give this presentation and to be part of this important and enriching evening. For me, it's very late now, but still it's very interesting for me to be here. My talk is going to focus only on signal to noise ratio improving technology. Next slide, please. Goals of hearing rehabilitation in general are to minimize hearing loss impact, but by making the world of normally hearing individuals accessible also to hearing impaired individuals. This is the whole story. Thank you. Next slide. How are we doing it? By trying to provide sensor accessibility that aligns with what normally hearing individuals are able to access from hearing in terms of speech understanding in quiet, speech understanding in noise, trivial phone, TV-like sources, and Zoom communication, and if you will, being able to enjoy movies, theater performances, stand-up comedy. Next slide, please. These are all, of course, very challenging. And here comes the COVID era. Usage of masks and the need to keep physical distance have made communications extremely difficult, regardless of the communication environment, even in quiet. Next slide, please. And on the top of it, we are actually dominated today during the COVID era by phone and Zoom communication. And effective phone and Zoom communication depend on avoiding microphone, on direct streaming from the audio source directly to the implant without involving microphones on the way. The direct streaming technologies are actually signal to noise ratio improving technologies, and they are constantly being improved over the last 10 years only, but they are improved. About 10 years ago, they were quite poor, cumbersome, but now they are very good. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. No, previous slide. Thank you very much. But in order to benefit from this improvement, an upgraded implant processor is needed. And this has to do with all what said before about services and about understanding what's going on about hearing of individuals with hearing loss. Unfortunately, upgrading of cochlear implant processors in Israel and in many other countries is offered only every 10 years or more, and in some places never. The COVID pandemic caught most implant users with poor phone and Zoom communication abilities, even though solutions are already available. Next slide, please. And the question is, what has been done so far? I can talk about Israel, in order to shorten period for implant processor upgrading eligibility. This is a practical question. And what was done in Israel in the last 6 years with this regard, BECOL, the Israeli Association for Hearing Impaired, applied to the Public Committee for the Expansion of Health Services, asking to shorten the period of implant processing upgrading eligibility from 10 to 5 years. And the reason that we decided to ask for such a jump was actually that 5 years, meaning maybe 3 generations of cell phone technologies, of computer technologies, and we had to stay on 5 years only. but it was rejected. In 2019, a year after, Bekol resubmitted the application, again rejected. In 2020, resubmission, the committee recommended this time to upgrade processors for individuals who were 18 years old or younger and were implanted 5 years before or more. And this one was valid for 1 year only. Of course, we were very happy about this decision, but it was far from being acceptable ethically, because it is absolutely not right to support deaf children and not to support deaf parents to many other hearing or deaf children. And those parents cannot support those children. So actually, what have we done? Bekol resubmitted the application in 2021, next slide. And this time, with so much pressure, the committee recommended the upgrade of processors for all hearing implants users every 6 years. We couldn't made it for 5 years, unfortunately. But anyway, my feeling at this point was that sometimes dreams come true. And it is actually also one more step towards providing accessibility that aligns with what normally hearing individuals are able to access from hearing. Thank you very much.